Today, we're digging into Erich Fromm's incredible book, The Art of Loving. Now, this is a work that really challenges something we all think we know inside and out, but Fromm asks us to take a second look, and believe me, his answer is probably not what you expect.
Okay, first things first. This is not some easy step-by-step how-to guide. Fromm is very clear about that. Instead, it's a really deep dive into the theory and the practice of loving. And his whole argument is that our modern way of thinking about it is just completely off track. And that leads us to the absolute heart of the book. Fromm wants us to chew on this one simple, but honestly revolutionary idea. What if love is an art? Something that takes skill, knowledge, and real effort to get good at.
Yeah, this really lays out the whole conflict, doesn't it? See, Fromm says most of us are stuck on the left side, thinking love is just this amazing feeling that, happens to you if you're lucky. But he's pushing us to see it as an art form, just like learning an instrument or painting, something that you have to actually understand and practice.
So why are we so bad at it then? Well, Fromm says we make three huge mistakes. First, we're obsessed with being lovable, getting richer, better looking, instead of working on our own ability to love. Second, we think it's all about finding the perfect person, the right object, like we're shopping for a soulmate. And finally, and this is a big one, we confuse that initial crazy, exciting feeling of falling in love with the much harder, more stable work of standing in love.
Okay, so to really get why learning to love is so critical, Fromm takes us back to square one, the fundamental problem of just being a human being. At our very core, we are conscious of ourselves as separate individuals. And that awareness, that we are fundamentally alone in the universe, is what Fromm says is the source of all our anxiety. And he does not pull any punches here. He calls this state an unbearable prison. It's a feeling we try to escape from all the time, maybe through conforming or getting lost in our work or through addictions. But those are all just temporary fixes, not real solutions.
So here is the crucial point. For Fromm, mature love is not just a romantic bonus or a nice feeling. It is the only real, sane, and lasting answer to our deepest existential problem. It's how we break out of that prison of being alone.
Right, so if love is an art, then it has to have a theory we can learn, just like any other art form. And Fromm breaks what he calls active love down into 4 essential parts. But first, we need his definition, and this is so important. Mature love isn't about losing yourself in someone else. It's a paradox. You join with another person to overcome that separateness, but you both stay whole, individual people. As he puts it, 2 beings become one, and yet they remain 2. And to make that paradox a reality, love has to be an activity. And it's an activity made up of these 4 things that are all woven together. This isn't a checklist. It's a whole mindset that has to work in harmony.
The first one is care. And this is so simple, but so profound. If you say you love flowers, but you always forget to water them, well, you don't really love them, do you? Love means you are actively working for the life and growth of the other person.
Next up is responsibility. And let's be clear, this is not about duty or something you're forced to do. It's about your ability to respond. It's a totally voluntary choice you make to meet the needs of another person, whether they say them out loud or not. Third, we have respect. And this comes from the Latin word that means to look at. It's about seeing a person for who they actually are, without trying to use them for something. You want them to grow and be themselves for their own sake, not to serve some purpose for you. You can only have respect when there's freedom.
And finally, there's knowledge. Because without it, all that care, responsibility, and respect, well, they'd be flying blind. This isn't just knowing facts about someone. It's about really getting to the core of who they are, understanding them on their own terms.
And Fromm really hammers this point home. You can't have just one of these without the others. They are a complete package, a whole set of attitudes that you find in a person who is truly mature and capable of loving. So, okay, we've got the theory down. Sounds great, right? But what about the practice? This is where Fromm says we all stumble, because practicing an art is hard. It takes real discipline.
Think about it. The steps for learning any art are always the same. First, you master the theory. Second, you master the practice. And third, and this is the most important one, you have to make it your ultimate concern. Nothing else can be more important to you.
And that's where we hit a wall, isn't it? In our culture today, do we really make love our #1 priority? Or do we put success, money, and power way ahead of it? Fromm's point is that we spend nearly all our energy chasing those other things, and almost none learning how to love.
Fromm also gives some pretty radical advice for the practice. Get this. He says, paradoxically, that the ability to be truly alone with yourself is the foundation for being able to love someone else. If you're just grabbing onto another person so you won't feel lonely, that's not love. That's just dependency.
But ultimately, the biggest personal obstacle, the final boss, is overcoming your own narcissism. Narcissism is just seeing the entire world only through the lens of how it affects you. The opposite of that is objectivity. To really love, you have to develop the humility to see another person for who they truly are, separate from your own needs.
And all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most difficult part of Fromm's entire argument, the challenge of actually trying to practice love in a society that seems designed to work against it.
This is a pretty heavy warning. Fromm is arguing that a society built on buying and selling, a society that encourages us to treat each other like commodities, is fundamentally at odds with love. He believes a society like that goes against our deepest human needs, and in the long run, it just can't survive.
So we're left with this huge and kind of unsettling question. If Fromm is right, if love truly is an art and the only real answer to being human, what on earth does it take to practice it in a world that seems to be pushing us in the exact opposite direction?